Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nova War.
And Maximus Black.
And we are bringing you hot on the heels of our previous cast, another beautiful StarCraft 2 commentary for the mid-level community. And we are looking at a PvP, I believe, of Kula down here in the bottom left position. And up top right, we are looking at, I'm going to say, Cpruss.
Cpruss, yep, that looks about right.
Sure.
Good old PvP.
Good old mirror match PvP. You know what? Out of all the mirror matches we've been doing, PvP seems to be the one that shows up the most for some reason.
Yeah, I think Protoss is just getting more and more popular as time goes on. I think just people are playing. I think, you know what? Protoss to me is the funnest race to play.
Oh, totally. I made that realization way back in 1998.
I think Terran's the most, for me, boring race to play with. I just don't find them interesting. I find Zerg, you have to just use your brain too much, and it's like you have to be an APM machine. And I find Protoss just a little bit of mix of both. You gotta more use your mind, use the units, the small units you have most effectively. I just really like it.
Yeah, I think the big draw for me is when I do well with Protoss, I feel like I've done more, or I feel like I've done a better, more effective job than I do with the other races. And like you were saying, it all comes down to doing a lot with less than the other opponent, because essentially Protoss doesn't have as many units usually as the other races do. So in any event here, we are looking at extraordinarily similar openings, of course. I don't expect either one of these players to be doing anything out of the ordinary. I believe, we're not convinced yet, but I believe this might be a gold or platinum level game.
I'll put it in an annotation.
Alright, we're going to put it in an annotation. We'll look it up shortly after we cast this game. But as I was saying, very similar. You can watch that production tab all day, and it might be about 5 seconds apart in terms of what's going on.
Yeah, one thing that I want to add is, look at that, using your shift click. Lopsided pancake. Using your shift click so you can continue working at your base. Another thing I'll point out, loving that pylon placement, making sure that nothing fishy is going on over here.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, Adam.
Did you know that Blistering Sands has destructible rocks?
Yes, I do.
Alright, I just wanted to point that out.
Here, and here.
Where else?
And here, on the gold, and over here on the gold.
Beautiful, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. One thing that I do want to add is, quickly, is the hotkeys here. We have the Nexus, and we have a gateway down this way. Also, is it Kula? Well,
Kula.
Kula. He has his probes hotkeyed. Now, I like to do this when I'm a Protoss. I'll get one probe. That way, when you just press the one button, that way you can have one probe that'll do all your building for you. You don't have to continuously, take, people off the line, and then next thing you know it, a probe is stuck over here, and then you got another probe coming off. Stuff like that. You just keep it to one probe. It's nice and neat and stuff like that. It makes it does
the polar opposite of the rest of your life, essentially.
Exactly. And you know what? While we have a little bit of time here,
all right,
I want to do some advertisement.
Go for it.
www.d2dgamer.com. And guess what, guys? We now have a live stream.
Hey-o!
It's JustinTV/LifesAGlitchTV. Yeah, that's going up where you can watch mine and Adam's 2v2s that we'll be doing live. Some of my solo stuff. Also, all of our tournaments are going to be broadcasted live for you guys, and I'm actually going to do some commentary while it's going on as well. So it's going to be awesome.
Really?
It's going to be wicked.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, so nothing huge going on right now. They're both getting Warp Gate, a couple of Zealots coming out, getting a robotics facility. That's good. Probably going to see some Immortal. Whenever you're playing a Protoss, you can always assume that Stalkers are going to come in here at some form, and we all know that Stalkers are weak against Immortals, and we all know that Zealots are strong against Immortals.
Yes, there's rock, paper, scissors, in fact, at that point. And I'd like to just point out real quick that Kula, of course, a faster to the Warp Gate, which is, of course, in a PvP, can be absolutely huge if they do an earlier push. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of that going on right now. We have a probe going out for a proxy pylon. Very nice place, very generic place to put it. And if Cpruss was paying attention, he would have a pylon up behind those rocks, or at least be coming down here and poking his head out every once in a while to make sure nothing suspicious was happening. Because proxy pyloning, putting a proxy pylon there is very common for obvious reasons. You just get past those rocks, and if you notice the other opponent hasn't scouted out that area, that's just open season. You just walk in there and have a field day.
Yeah, I don't know if is it I don't know who's up top here, what the names are.
Cpruss.
Cpruss. I don't know if Cpruss, if he put a pile in here, he'd actually see this, but he definitely would see this, what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So these rocks are going to go down unless Cpruss comes over here and checks that out, which could be a little bit of trouble for Cpruss. Both are doing a fairly good job at building probes, 25 to 27, relatively close. Not a whole lot of action going on right now, but there's still a lot going on in their bases. They're both tacking up. It now looks like Kula is just now getting a robotics facility, so we may see some immortals from him. Oh, and it looks like we could be seeing some Colossus coming from Kula, which could do some serious damage. We know that Colossus, if they're microed well and they have the thermal lance upgrade, they can do some serious damage against any type of ground unit.
Yeah, when you're facing another Protoss, it is important to keep in mind scouting to see if the other Protoss is doing something like getting heavy zealot, because then you know, a Colossus does make sense. If the other opponent is got their robo fairly early and they're pumping out Immortal, might not be as smart of an idea to do. It can still be effective if done properly, but it is very dangerous to be walking there with Colossi when the other opponent is walking around with a crap load of Immortal. It'll be interesting to see how long he waits before he goes in there now that that rock is done. If he gets in there fairly soon with Cpruss down at the front of his base, he could get a fair amount of economical damage done before he gets away with it.
Yeah, oh, he could definitely do a lot of damage. If I was him, I'd warp in probably about 4 more Zealots, and then I would run my ass right up and around there and start taking out some probes, and that would slow down the economy quite a bit. One thing that I will add is he got an Observer.
Ah, there it is.
And I love to see a Protoss player get an Observer. I know it's 100 gas, guys, but trust me, that 100 gas is going to go a long way and some. Now he sees exactly what his enemy has, and now he knows that he can go up there and do that attack, and that Observer just did that for him. And I can only assume he's going to go right to the mineral line and do some serious damage on these probes. And he's expanding.
And he's expanding all at the same time. That is lots of awesome stuff happening, but look at this army coming up. These Zealots are about to walk into their death, unfortunately.
Those Zealots are hating life.
Something I would like to point out here is now that Observer has seen what he has seen, what I would have liked to see, what is his name, Kula, done here in this situation, cancel that Thermal Lance, build a second Robo, and start getting Immortal to counter the wave of Immortal that Cpruss is putting out. Colossus at this point, if he is getting Immortal up at the other end of the map, is not going to do a great deal of good for him, and you know what, at this point, basically just matching up and trying to just outnumber your opponent at this point in the game is probably a better decision than trying to go Colossus.
Yeah, one thing that getting Colossus is okay. Okay, Immortals are very strong against Colossus. One thing that I would like to see him get, though, is a Twilight Council and get that Zealot charge ASAP. That is going to do some serious damage against all of this if he can get enough. I mean, he's got an expansion. He needs to start saturating that. You know, he is doing the right things right now. One thing that I will add is he actually did slow down Cpruss, or whatever his name is. I can't even pronounce that right. Quite a bit here. And the Stalker